So I'd say if you're gonna pay $1.99 for a burger, don't expect it to be Kobe beef raised in Japan, fed bare and their bellies rubbed every day. But if I'm paying a couple $100 for a burger, I expect my beef to be well massaged. So imagine like it's Sunday, you're getting ready to go to breakfast and you have two really, really good breakfast restaurants that everybody talks about. You go to one, you read their menu and you want, 3-egg omelet with some bacon and hash browns. And then on the backside of, the menu, they're telling you all these great things like, hey, we get the eggs from this farm in Vermont and all the milk comes from this local creamery, such and such. And then you go to the other restaurant. Now, they don't get all their eggs and everything from the same place as the other restaurant. In fact, they don't really tell you where to get all their ingredients from, but you love the meal. The question is, does it really matter what's inside the meal? And it really depends, in my opinion, on the value. What you really got to think with restaurant A is, you might pay a little bit more, but you know exactly where everything you're putting into your body comes from. And with restaurant B, you might not know, but maybe just love the taste of everything. And it's really very similar in the watch world, because not every watch is going to be through and through from the brand, but what really matters, in my opinion, is what's on the wrist and what you really, really love. To really take it back a little bit, you have to really go in the history of watches. So in the beginning, everybody was in little villages, and maybe I did dials really good and my friend did cases really, really well, and my friend down 2 towns over did the best chronograph movements out there. Well, it was a real collaborative experience. Whoever had the idea for that project, would call the other person and kind of bring things together. Fast forward to the 70s, around the quartz crisis, a lot of brands really went out of business. They couldn't afford to make certain things on their own. The Swatch Group bought a company called ETA, and they began producing movements for the whole industry on a really mass scale. Fast forward to today, a lot of brands are getting into making their own movements. They're putting a lot of research and development into making something that's all theirs. So 2 other really, really good examples of brands that are also movement makers that you can really see their movements all over the industry are Jaeger-LeCoultre and Zenith. The Zenith El Primero chronograph has been hailed since the late 60s as one of the best chronograph movements ever made. Brands from, Bulgari to Rolex to pretty much everybody in the industry have used a version of their chronographs, because why? Again, they're one of the best that are ever made. And sometimes you don't want to mess with perfection, right? Wouldn't you rather a brand spend their movement on the design of the case, the dial design, maybe adding things to that movement versus working and just making their own chronograph movement that might be just as good or maybe a little bit inferior? In my opinion, I want to get the best product on my wrist. The same thing goes with Jaeger-LeCoultre. From the beginning, they've been making parts and movements and calibers for a lot of different brands throughout the industry, behind closed doors and out in front from the world. I think Ralph Lauren right now uses their movements in a lot of their high-end watches as well, because again, Ralph Lauren is a design house and not necessarily a watchmaker. So I don't know if I want them to spend $100 million to get into the watchmaking business when they can go to a brand like Jaeger and get such great movements and package it up in really great design and give the consumer what they want, which is a really great product with a really great engine inside that has the heritage that you're looking for. I'm CQ, and that was my take on in-house versus outside movements on watches.